here, so I'm gonna have weekends. Like I'll be able to do things, right? Alrighty, well, it's us, and how do you pronounce your name online? If you want to.
Nagme.
Nagme.
Hi.
You're from you moved from here to California, right? Is that
Yes, I'm actually visiting North Carolina now, but yes.
Oh, you. Awesome. I remember you from the healing circle that we did.
Yes, I love it. Thank you guys for offering this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so just to it's funny because it's a homey environment. We'll do that. Okay, so I'm Brooke, and just quick intro. So I started on a spiritual journey about 1.5 years ago at this point, and before that was a skeptical, science-based, like research-oriented, like this is not my world type person. And once I got kind of thrown into this, it was like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I know it's real. And I understand that, like I took a class in IET and I have energy healing abilities, but to me, I think my strong suit is organizational skills and trying to, bring some sort of organization and build up this network of healers, because that's what I found was the most frustrating to me trying to navigate the system, was kind of understanding which direction to go and where to find people, and just to find similar people to interact with too. So that was kind of the goal of starting this. And what ended up happening is I had wanted to start a directory along with the social community aspect of whatever Healers Unite is now what we're calling it. So I was starting the directory and, sent out an email just trying to find people. And I found Karen, who was also setting up a directory. So we realized that we were obviously trying to do similar things. So we started working together. So that's how this came about. And we finally, it's, like two broke girls trying to build a business. So we're doing what we can. And two, because we're two broke girls starting a business, we understand what the struggles are for people who are just getting started in, energy healing or different spiritual practices who are wanting to be healers or, provide services, and how difficult it is to build up your website, to build up your social media presence, to try to get your name out there and do all that, just because we've struggled with all of it, we understand. So we're trying to make it simpler for everybody. So that is our goal. Do you want to add anything or?
Sure. I guess this is more for the replay, but just thank you everyone for joining us. Appreciate everyone being here and taking your time out, because I think that unity and coming together is going to be so important moving forward. Part of my spiritual journey, I had the opportunity to connect with so many fabulous healers. My first one being Kathy from Souly Holistic. So I'm honored and blessed to be here today at Souly Holistic as she continues to support me on my journey. So if you get a chance, sign on to Souly Holistic, check out her events. She's got a lot of them. And also part of my journey, I felt this call to create a directory. And I think it's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't done so yet, please join. It's free, absolutely free for a year, for an entire year. You don't have to enter your credit card information, just put in that promo code HEAL2025. And there's a lot of fabulous things that come along with that. One is you can, if you have 3 different modalities that you're in, let's say it's energy healing, let's say it's sound healing or tarot reading, you can put yourself underneath each of those categories so people can easily find you. My experience with healers has been so transformative, and I wanted to elevate everyone to be seen on our own platform. So sign up. It's absolutely amazing. Create all the events that you want. Let's make it work. So yeah, that's my spiel.
Alrighty. So before too, we just like kind of went around the room to introduce ourselves also. So just a little brief snippet, your name and what modalities you practice is helpful. If you want to share about the space also and what you have to offer would be nice. And then we'll do you guys first and then we'll do okay.
Kathy, Souly Holistic. The space itself is open to rent the room, use the room, and also we have a bunch of different offices here. People have their own business, their own modalities. So within this space, there's 4 massage therapists, 4 Reiki practitioners, a person who does access bars, somebody else that does anesthetician, the waxing and stuff. And there's also a certified certified therapist. And then there's life coaching, there's emotional code, and there's an astrologer. Yes, that's within the building. And then my own individual modalities is Reiki, Archangelic Light, Angelic Reiki, energetic word clearing. I also do that. Crystal therapy, shamanism, past life regression, and soul retrieval. I don't know if I got anything else in there, but something like that. Just to like the perpetual students.
Yeah. Hey, lifelong learner.
Yeah, always looking for something.
Right.
Yes. Whenever the door opens, I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, very overwhelming sometimes, right?
Yes.
Yes, and so that's kind of about me, but there's also a retail shop in there too, where we have crystals and all sorts of yummy goodies. Yeah, I think that covers everything.
Thank you.
All sorts of events here.
Yes.
So my name is Taheera, and I am from the Youngsville, Wick Forest, Charlotte area, and I am the founder for Awaken Pathways. I also do energetic cord cutting, energy healing, a Reiki master, and a rebirth practitioner, NLP, and hypnosis as well. So I'd love to do all those modalities as well to kind of bring a beautiful, powerful transformation in each session.
Awesome. Thank you.
And Nagme, do you want to share a little about yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Nagme, from San Diego. Used to live in North Carolina. I use different modalities all at once because they all, serve a specific purpose for me. So I do IET. That one I'm less familiar with, but when needed, I do channel that. I have done Archangelic Light with Kathy. It's been amazing. And Angelic Reiki, Usui Reiki, and Celtic Reiki, which is channeling the energy of the trees. So sometimes like all of these just come to me all at once, which is really cool. And I'm just really grateful for being here. It's always I get a lot out of it. I know we're sending healing to others, but I receive a lot back when I'm able to do it. So I really appreciate that. Thanks.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. So one of the things that we had added to the meeting last time that we wanted to start doing was the featured healer. So here I will have you start in a little bit, but just to go over what that is, we already have all of our slots filled, by the way.
Oh, okay,
So
great.
exciting. So it's so we are having somebody come in who has a particular modality that they would like to present, so that it accomplishes a couple different things. It familiarizes people who are healers with that practice, right? Because there are a ton of practices, and I think that as far as just how you want to spend your money and your time, or what you think that you fit with, we thought that by having present to us about the healing methods, and we could kind of speak to each other in the language that we understand, like how it works, and what it entails. For example, there was Keith. What was his name?
Yeah,
Keith.
yeah.
Yeah, he does Akashic record reading, and it's just not something that I'm familiar with. I've heard it. I know enough about it to know generally what it is, but I couldn't in depth have like a discussion about what that means. Again, probably the newbie in me because I've only been in this for a year. So we thought that, hearing from somebody like that who is, more of an expert in it would help us all kind of understand like, oh, that's something that's, does really kind of interest me. And I would like to, seek that out as a service, or that's something that I would like to take as far as I would like to be able to teach that, or, provide services in that regard. Or if you have clients who maybe your skill set comes to a point where you're like, oh, that they need some other help, or is this, whatever. But my skill set kind of ends. But I think that, that energetic cord cutting is kind of, what they may need. So it just familiarizes us with, different types of modalities and how they can help people. And I think that, what was I gonna say? Just, getting to know each other and getting to know how all those different modalities work, and like we can ask each other questions and kind of figure that out. And you can share what kind of classes that you have and services that you provide as well. So that's what we've done with this featured healer. So Taheera gets to kick that off with energetic cord cutting. So do you want to trade spaces?
Yeah, why don't you come on up here?
Sure.
Just watch out for the cord on this side.
Okay. It's on the floor.
No, you're fine. All right. So energetic cord cutting is a little bit simpler than a lot of people may think it may not be. I look at it as energetic cord cutting as an energy field where it kind of brings down your energy. You feel exhausted or tired all the time, just out of nowhere, not really figuring out where this tired or exhaustion comes from. Also, too, it's kind of related to people, places, like things, situations, experiences, and they all are tied from your energetic field where you may feel like stuck in your life, not being able to like move forward, taking like one step forward, but taking like 10 steps backwards kind of ordeal. I look at it as also too, is like you're being stressed out, you're feeling overwhelmed, and you're not being able to really navigate your life in the way that you want, the direction that you're wanting to go into. That's also energetic cords that are tangled. And the best way to do that is to be able to have your cords cut from a spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical level, where you're not tied to that particular person, situation, experience, or just thought in general. So it's very powerful to be able to cut those cords. You're not having to revisit that situation or revisit that particular thought or revisit that particular people or just person in general. So when you're cutting those cords, you are actually like your energy is actually leveling back up to like a high vibration. That's how I look at it. And when a lot of people feel like they're just anxiety or just mental health in general, or just feeling depressed, that's also another indication of a sign that your cords are tangled and you need to cut those ties as well. I'm speaking from years of experience when it comes to energetic cords, because I have had my own mental health issues over the years. I've had like a lot of energy from different people, and I'm like, their energy's attached to mine. And I'm like, okay, I was feeling good, 2 seconds ago, and now I'm feeling so drained and tired. Why is that? Because the person beside me, their energy is attached to mine. I need to get rid of it. So That's how I kind of like tap into the person's energy, and then I could see the cords that are tangled from a spiritual, mental, and emotional and physical level. And then I just cut those cords so they feel that relief and they feel, okay, I feel good. My energy is back to normal, or maybe just a high vibration of energy. And then I'm able to kind of move forward or move throughout my day. That's how I look at the energetic cords. Any questions you may have? Any questions? Any questions?
Do you think that do you see a difference between picking up energetic cords, like kind of just like picking them up versus like more of an in-depth like relationship where like when you're doing like the energetic cord cutting, do you see a difference between like something that's like
I see a difference. Yeah. So when you pick up someone else's cord just out and about, that's attached to you, and you're like, okay, well, I'm just tired. I'm like, I need to get rid of this. Versus when you have these cords that's attached to a person that you've known for a long time.
Yeah.
So let's just say, for example, like a parent figure or a friend or a colleague, that cord is much thicker, much heavier, where there's going to take a couple of tries, a couple of sessions to kind of get rid of that, because you're going through different layers of cords that needs to be cut, especially based on the intention that you set for that session. So that's very important. So if you don't have like a dedicated intention for that, then you'll either, well, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if this is going to really just do anything. It may do something at the beginning, but then you're like, okay, well, I'm back to square one, where I go from here.
Mhm.
So it's very important to set intentions before you even start. So then that way you can kind of keep going in the right path.
So what modalities did you practice study that you use with the energetic cord cutting?
Very interesting. So I never really learned, so to speak, what energetic cord was. It was given to me through Spirit and Archangels last year during the 8/8 portal. And they gave me the sword. And I'm like, here you go. Here's the power of the sword. And this is, and the modality that comes with it, like, this is what you do. This is what you do with it. And as soon as Lion Gates were over, I was able to practice cord cutting immediately right on someone in person. Yeah. And then I was able
I
to.
love this world.
Yes. I had a friend of mine who was, she was like her cords were really tangled with her mother-in-law. And she was very bummed down with her energy. And she was like, I can't get rid of her energy. Her energy is like around me all the time, even though she lives like thousands of miles away. So I was like, you know what, let me just use this new modality I just learned just magically. And I cut the cords from her, and she was like, oh my God, I feel so much lighter, so much better. And then she was able to release the energy from those cords down to Mother Earth. And then she told me that the next day, she was like, guess what? I was like, what? Like, I don't have any attachments to my mother-in-law anymore. And she was actually staying in her lane over here, and she's not bombarded with her energy towards me anymore. So I was like, wow, that's like a very powerful, powerful way to do it. So I've been just doing that like since then. So just been almost a year.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I think that like because you have this like our ad that we kind of started this off with is cut the cord to that douchebag, but we might need a mother-in-law one.
Yeah. Cut the cords with mother-in-law.
How long would a cord cutting session take?
Normally I do 30 minutes.
Okay.
That's enough it's not too long, but it's not too short. It's kind of like that sweet spot. So it's kind of gives you that place where you can just go into that meditative state. And then I have to kind of visualize the person that you're wanting to cut cords with. So I'm kind of helping you through the spiritual realm where you are physically there and the person that you are cutting the cord with is also physically there, and you just imagine the cords between the two of you. And I tell you, hey, I'm about to cut the cords. Imagine this cord between the two of you now just cuts, and it's like faded away and it's back to Mother Earth. And they visualize that and they see that. So then they're like, okay, feel good. And then I use I use Reiki as well, incorporated, but there's something else that I use. I don't know the name of it to save my life. But that's just my higher self and archangels kind of helping me through each session. That just kind of takes over and I just do it. They're like, you have the healing hands.
Yeah, right. It doesn't have any particular meaning.
Right. I have like you have the healing hands when you do these sessions, because I could be at your feet, but then you still feel me up here, and I'm not in not nowhere near your head or your shoulders or your heart space, but they feel the hands still there. I'm like, yeah, those are my guides are helping me heal. So
And is it only one person at a time that you work on, like one cord?
yes.
For about 30 minutes.
For 30 minutes. It's based off their intentions that they set. I always ask that first before I start a session. What are your intentions? Is there a person? Is there a place? Is there a thing that you are trying to cut cords with? And then based off of that, then I will work based off their intentions. So typically I could do a whole group. I could do a whole group setting, or I can do individual group as well.
Do you do online versus in person? Or?
I do both. So I do in person and online as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
So based on soul contracts, right, you're supposed to meet certain people. So are you cutting this person out of your life completely? Like, are you severing the cord with this person? Because like based on soul contract, you need that person in our life to keep those lessons, right? So cord cutting means you separate, and then you have to redo all those lessons.
Right. So with that, I'm not cutting the contract, the soul's contract. I'm not doing that. So what I'm doing is cutting the energy between the person and the client. So whatever energy that has given them, let's just say anxiety, for example, if this person gives them fully blown anxiety, like every time they come around, I'm getting anxiety, I'm getting a panic attack. I want to cut that particular cord between me and this person because they give me anxiety. So whatever that is, that's what I'm cutting. I'm not cutting the contract between the two people. Now, if they want to go deeper and like deep healing and those kind of things with the energy work, then that's something else that I do. But the cords itself is just based off of one situation that they're, hey, I want to cut this between them.
So you're cutting the emotion,
right,
of anxiety, or the emotion of
anger. Or sadness, or disappointment, or how or whatever thought that they have between that particular person. That's what I'm cutting. I'm not cutting the soul's contract with them at all. Unless they ask, but no one's asked for that. So I normally do that.
When you say, like, if you were, like, if you have a soul contract with, just throwing it out there with an ex, like I had a contract to, be with that person, have kids with that person, and, maintain some sort of relationship, right? But at the same, like, I would view, like, the difficulties and like the painful things and all that stuff that caused strife, let's say, is like that energetic cord that I want to cut, right? So with that would cut the cord with them as far as like the emotional cord that's causing me like to just
spiral.
To just like can't get past it.
Right.
But then I would still the soul contract that we had to, come into this, like to get married and, have this life together to that point, like that contract still, is that how that works? Like, is that? So that's still there. It's just
that contract is still there unless you want that contract to completely end. Then that's a different story. Yeah. But as far as the energy goes, when it comes to how you're feeling and you're like, you're kind of in limbo with the person. You
Yeah.
can't like kind of get past about, you know, their flaws or what kind of hurt they've caused or what
Yeah.
kind of pain they've caused. That you want to cut energetic cords for.
Mhm.
That's what I do. It's like cut cords from that standpoint. But
Because I can see it kind of as like that part where, you know, it's like you have to forgive somebody without them
physically being like
physically
that.
being there, you know. So like, you know, I was do not contact listed for 3 years. So it's like I had to work on that myself as far as like forgiving and everything. So that would be a cord to me, would be like that. Okay, let's, you know, these things happen, I'm cutting that cord. But, you know, I still have to maintain a relationship with someone. So that, yeah, the soul contract still continues.
Right.
So that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So it's not an ending of a soul's contract. It's more of an energetic cord that you're cutting
Yeah.
between you and the other person.
Okay.
So, and you know, if you need to take the time to like, hey, I'm gonna take time and space to like heal and cut energetic cords, that person doesn't have to be in your presence to do so. You can do like connect it through spirit and kind of cut it that way.
Mhm.
And then as far as, okay, now I'm ready to kind of like start talking to you again and kind of like maintain this, you know, civil relationship or just a friendship relationship. That's like the soul's contract in itself that you can continue to keep having unless you like, okay, you know what? I don't want this anymore at all. Let's cut the soul's contract altogether. That's that part.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I may.
Go ahead.
It's all along the same lines, kind of. So if you cut the cord with the person, like, does that relationship, does it mean it creates a distance with that relationship? Because like my understanding of cord clearing that I've done with Kathy is not necessarily cutting it, it's kind of cleansing the cord, and like my relationship with that person actually gets better. So I'm just curious, if you're cutting the cord, does it create distance between you and that person? And do you ever get that negative cord back? I guess.
So you don't get the negative cord back. You are also clearing it as well. So we clear the cord, but we also cut the cord too. So when we clear the cord, we clear out all of the negative energy that has transpired between you and the person, and then we cut the cord that associates with the behavior, the patterns that the person has brought into the relationship. So you're not having to relive, or not just relive, but also have those same tendencies of patterns and behaviors from that particular individual. So it's not like you're completely cutting that person out of your life unless that's your intentions. Now, if that's your intentions, that's something completely different. But if you're cutting the cord, in like the energetic cord, you're cutting the negative energy that you have between that person and yourself, and you're cutting the behavior and the patterns between that person and yourself. So you're not having to kind of relive that same thing. That makes
sense. It does. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm good. You have a question?
No, I'm good. No. Thank you so much. That was
You're
a really
welcome.
good explanation.
Yes, thank you.
All right, I'll change that. Okay, so then to kind of it was a good jumping off point, because again, that was kind of where we left our last meeting, was with cord cutting being a focus that we wanted to use as a way to, I said, advertise to people, seekers. I said we divide the world into healers and seekers just for the ease of conversation. So let me see. I think I wrote. So the goal of this is kind of, getting healers together. So if you look at the chart of how we've kind of divided this up, is, Healers Unite, we kind of see having the directory as one part of that. So the directory being the only thing that has an eventual cost to it, right? Okay, so that being, the directory right now, we're trying to obviously build up our numbers. So that's why we're keeping it free while we're still building and trying to grow the network. With that, we also have the goal of this social network. So that is the in-person meetings, and then also there's an online social network as well, which we'll get into. But so those are the two big pieces, and then other things that we want to use to support that, and to support, again, just increasing the amount of people who are aware of healing services. And I think that to me, again, coming in this world from like a different perspective, I wasn't just inherently spiritual, and it just kind of seemed like something that other people did, and I just didn't quite understand it. And I think that there are ways, like with cord cutting, to kind of bridge that gap between people and kind of use some of these like explanations to help people. I know that myself, a lot of my journey was with, therapists and mental health practitioners and different things, trying to work on those, cutting ties. But once I got into this world, and you're like, hold up, just done that. Like, that's much simpler now that I understand it. Watch, right? So that's what we're trying to do, is like find topics that can transition, that we can introduce, and by utilizing the network of people and the different healers to, we'll all kind of contribute to build this up, so that we don't, how did I write it? I wrote it out so I didn't. Reducing the need for healers to focus on explaining how and why healing works, and instead focusing on performing healing services. So I just feel like it's so unnecessary for every single one of us to be out there re-explaining the same things. And it's what you have to do with social media. You have to be out there, and if you have a really good presence, and you're like out there all the time, like sharing videos and different things, and but you're doing that, and so is this person, and so is that person, and so is this person. It's like, if we could just start trying to build up this almost like a library of just, here's what cord cutting is, So that is our first topic, is try to figure out as many ways as we can introduce cord cutting to the public. So the first way that we've come up with is that ad that we have, and it's like a little snippet at the bottom here.
If you're
We
online,
think it's funny. The agenda's online.
oh yeah, if you're online, you can just hit the I for the meeting details, and the agenda will be there. And so you can follow along a little easier with us.
So with all these project groups at the bottom, again, these are ones that we are going to use for different aspects of, like, again, sharing things with seekers, or like, part of us getting to know each other, and whatnot also. So that's a bunch of different kind of projects that we have. But again, this one is the ad. So we'd like to have a team of people who can just provide feedback, or if you have like an awesome skill set with developing ads, or whatever marketing. So we're trying to come up with a team who's really interested in that. And last meeting, we had a pretty good conversation back and forth about like where we could advertise these things. We were talking about having an ad. Where did we just say? The mother-in-law. Like, yeah. We were talking about maybe honestly, the divorce lawyers. Having not necessarily this ad, but an ad that kind of advertises like help with relationships and different things like that. So we have a couple different ideas for how to target people, different stages and different things. But that's one of the teams that we're going to have, is the team that works on that marketing and ads. So we plan to pay for the ads and the printing and that kind of stuff, but we feel like, all of our skills together kind of contributing to feedback and whatever. Like if people think I'm too crass with the douchebag ad, then, there's some feedback that we could have. But yeah, so that's one of the things, is like poster stands out. We were talking about maybe making this into a sticker. So then in addition to that, some of the other things we'd like to do is, with this poster, what we'll have is like a QR code on the poster. to a link tree. So it's a dedicated link tree that has everything to do with cord cutting on it. Okay, so the poster itself will be linked there. We will have a link to a search on Soulella. So one of the things you can do with your listing on Soulella is add category keywords.
Yes.
So you can add keywords and you can add cord cutting as a keyword. So then we will have a search saved on that link tree that directly links people to the practitioners that perform cord cutting services. So it's, you know, an easy way, like we have this little ad, this little poster, sticker, you know, try to put that out in the community as much as we can, get clicks. The clicks go directly to that directory link that links you to people who perform cord cutting services. So it's trying to like, okay, here's a topic that's an easy hit to me that could get people in. Here's where you can find them, you know, that's through the directory, but we're making it easy. You don't even have to type it in. It's just the search is there for you. So what we are asking people to do who have listings on the directory, and if you don't, get your listings out there, and then put your, you know, put any classes that you have, or, you know, whatever service it is that you offer. If you feature that on your listing, then we'll be guiding people to that. So that's our goal, is to try to kind of build up, and we're going to start with one, you know, figure out how that whole process goes, and then, you know, figure out the next one from there. Okay, so the listing was one of the pieces, and then tie-ins. Okay, so yeah, so again, do you have any workshops? We can add those to your listing, or there's also a place for events on Soulella, and we can also link to events. So we could do two things. It's like we could link to practitioners, and we could have a separate link to events. So they go directly to those two things. All right, and so here's my little crazy is the other thing we want to do is have, I'm calling it a talk show. So instead of a podcast, I'm calling it a talk show. So the idea would be, you know, me, Miss Talkative, interviewing you who does energetic cord cutting, or you that do, you know, we have 2 or 3 practitioners that do the cord cutting services, offer those. So we could kind of have the same kind of banter back and forth about, well, how do you perform the services, or, you know, what do you see, like how can you help people with relationship troubles, exactly kind of what you were talking about. Mm-hmm. But then what we were also thinking is of adding in testimonials. So if you have clients who, the woman who had the trouble with the mother-in-law, does she want her face on the screen? I don't know, but like, like
as long as the mother-in-law doesn't see it.
Right.
But she doesn't care. I'm done with the mom. Bye.
Right.
Bye.
So we were thinking about the possibility, again, these are all things we kind of want to, I'm just throwing them out there. There's more brainstorming that needs to happen. But one of the things we thought with the testimonials was if we had practitioners advertise on your pages for your clients to participate in this, that you could maybe offer them like a free healing service to try to build up that, like, hey, if you want to, even providing written testimonials, or also if they'd be willing to come on the talk show and talk about that. So we thought that it seems like a little bit different vibe to me than a podcast, you know, where it's like we're just kind of bantering and like interviewing people and just kind of talking through what that means to everybody. So that's another project that we have that we want to kind of work on also. So that's that. Any feedback on those ideas so far?
I like that idea. I can see the difference between the podcast and like the traditional podcasting, but I also see the difference between the talk shows. So I'm kind of in the podcast world.
Oh yeah.
But I do see like a more native talk show kind of concept where a lot of people who come together can showcase and have discussions and have the testimonials. I can see like a really huge benefactor of having that talk show be presented. Like, here you go. here's a talk show versus like a podcast. I think it'd be a lot better than podcasting, in my opinion, because since I've been on the podcasting side of things, it doesn't, I mean, it does really well, but I feel like the talk show would be a lot more clear and concise, and like, okay, I can tune in and I can actually see, versus like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to sit here and listen to this, and I'm not seeing faces. I don't know who this, this person is, and like, I don't see like the interaction. So I like the concept of the talk show.
Yeah, we'd like to do them ideally in like these kind of spaces that we're bringing people in to have like a little bit of an audience, and then like the practitioners who are talking. So it'd be kind of that vibe of like, coming in person to a place, and it's filmed like here or whatever. Technically, I'm not good at those details, but we can figure it out. I mean, this records and people can hear us on here, so we'll sort out that kind of thing. But then it also, what it does is, and I see people who do have podcasts, and that builds their content. So I think that builds the content that we have available on the Healers Unite page, which draws people into the directory and everything else. And again, we will have it available for other people to share as well, like the co-hosts or whoever is participating, the practitioners will also share that on their pages. So we're just trying to do something that allows us to create content kind of easily, with each other, so that we have things to share and get out there. So that's our plan with that. So which leads then into the type of, we've called them a million different things. It's like interest groups I don't know, interest groups. So we're just gonna call this it. On here though, I have it kind of labeled as projects, but just groups who are coming together centered around one of these things that we'd like to kind of build and work on. So like I said, the ads/marketing is one group we'd like to have people participate in. We want to get people signed up and then set up a meeting for that relatively soon. So it'd be separate from this, right? Like subcommittee. Use like my business terms, which make me want to throw up, but like something like that, where it's like a smaller set. Like this is the big group. We're all getting together to do kind of talk about all the things, and then we have these kind of smaller groups set up like based on, okay, I'm interested in that type of whatever. Right. So if adding ads and marketing is your interest, then sign up for that group. We have a link on the link tree. Our link tree is listed here, or on the Instagram. I believe that's the link that I have at the top of the Instagram. So the Healers Unite link tree has links to all the meetings, and it also has an interest form for those groups. So you can go out and add your email, your name, and just like which groups you're interested in, or if there's one that you'd be interested in starting. So we're open to, it's like, we have all these ideas. There's other ideas we have. Clearly, we can't do all the things, and we also recognize there's a girl who's talking about networking and different things, and we'd like to kind of bring those all in, so we're all, at least this is the, what you call that, like our bigger Healers Unite group is like the group that you kind of can use to fill your other, what I mean? It's like, this is like the central group, right? And even if you have an idea that's not like ours, we want us to all kind of be combined, and like you say, oh yeah, I really want this group on networking. I think that's important. Like, okay, go with it, right? Like, we'll talk about it here and we'll put it on the website and do all the things, but like, yeah, you go and run with that and we can use this to build the interest and find the people.
Right.
So yeah, ads and marketing is one. The talk show, as far as like, I think that group will be, people who are interested in or skilled in actually putting the like technical aspects together. If there's people that anybody knows that has a podcast or has done it in the past or whatever, that'd be helpful. Or two, the people that will be hosting, right? So this next one's going to be on cord cutting. So let's get a team together that like there's some people that can help with the technical aspects, or we'll just bumble through it and figure it out. And then there's some people who, okay, you want to host and talk about cord cutting, then we'll get together and kind of come up with the, questions that we want to ask, kind of how we want to, organize the show itself, and find, figure out who the people that we can bring on to do the testimonials. So that's what the talk show group will be. Then we have fun ones. So we divided it into like kind of, two business, two fun. So fun times is one of them. So kind of more of the social aspect, getting out, meeting people. I think I love coming together and doing, the spiritual events and like the healing circles and those types of things. But we're talking about just getting together to like talk and hang out and, just share with each other. Like, oh my God, this client I had this week, whatever you need to, complain about, or just to share with each other. I think like one of the things I struggled with this past year is finding my people, and it's hard, especially mentioned the two broke girls thing. I don't have a lot of like money and or time to like come and interact with a lot of the groups. So I've found a lot of resources online, and that's kind of where I gravitate to, which is why I want to start the online social network as well. So kind of both ways, doing it online and in person. And the other thing we want to do is start organizing ways of giving back, which also should be kind of fun, I would think, another way to get out socially. Right. So so that's the other part that we're talking about. So those two groups, do you like planning things and organizing meetups, or if you are really interested in giving back, which, we kind of get in over our heads with the Western North Carolina thing we started back in after the floods. We started the healing circle. We're really trying to build up a network of people to provide healing services to the people who were affected. And our goal was to, try to match people who were affected there with a healer here to do one-on-one services. I still think that it's something that would be really helpful to have as kind of like maybe like a just in case, right? Like there's lots of things happening. So, just having that in place, but it was kind of too hard for the two of us to kind of pull it together, and without many resources to get information out to other people. So we just need help with that aspect. And if people have like more ideas, I know that there are people at the time that we're kind of reaching out with like, oh, what if we try this? Why don't we try this? And that's what we're trying to do with this group. Like, let's get all those people together and talk through ways of us getting back into the community. Yeah. And I think that too, I already have like, what's that called? That like screen printed shirts in mind, so we like all go out with like our Healers Unite shirts on. So it kind of boosts up again the presence that we have in like in the community, and gets our name out there. Just we by nature want to help people and heal people, so that also obviously ties them together. Any questions there? So we'll put up so there's a sign up on the link tree. We'll just start to I'll kind of from this, I think that might break this video apart. Yeah. Come up with things that I'll put out onto the Instagram page to just advertise pieces of what we talked about. Just share pieces of what we talked about today on the Healers Unite Instagram page, which is slowly. I mean, we're getting like that's kind of gaining a lot more followers quickly than like my other page did. So I think by us keeping it kind of local too is helping that to grow, get the word out amongst other people. So
that's the Healers Unite on Instagram.
And I think I said last time that Instagram is my comfort zone. TikTok's out of my comfort zone in one way, and Facebook's outside of my comfort zone in another way. So it's like, here's where I'm comfortable. Again with kind of this, like, we're the ones that started this, but it's not like we necessarily want to own the Healers Unite. It's kind of, we want it to be mutually owned. So as far as I lost track of where I was though with the groups and the social media. That if somebody is like gung ho, like I am the Facebook queen, or like I love TikTok, like we can create other pages. Like the content that we're coming up with can be shared in those other ways on those other pages. It's beyond my capabilities. Like I know my limits. I tried last year when I like went out on my like journey that I did. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok, and then I like day one was like, what? Like videos can't be over 10 minutes. I don't understand how this works. Like, so yeah, it's beyond me. So anyway, so that's another thing that will be a group at some point is social media. Like how do we help with kind of boosting that up as well. And I could see too, practitioners in the area, I said not only sharing our stuff, but we're sharing theirs and trying to figure out how that balance works exactly. So again, another group, not ready yet, but we'll add that one at some point unless somebody's like, I want to leave the social media efforts then. Okay, so that's I think a lot of our main topics. Let's see. So sign up for the directory, it's free. Karen sold that a lot. What else did I want to say about it? We have some cards available, and I think our next push is going to be to new practitioners. So I think that obviously just based on building this network, we are seeking out people that have a presence and that have some sort of way that we've found you, which I can't always name the ways, but it's lots of, I call it mining the internet. So that's my job is I go out and I mine the internet every day. And like, sometimes I'll search for people nearby, or like, I'll get the advertised people and I'll see that like, oh, Kathy likes this person and follows them. And, somebody else that I, locally follows them. And I'd like try to add it up, go see if they're local, so that's what I've been out there doing. So we've found a lot of people who are established, but what I said at the beginning and what our sweet spot is, we feel like is bringing people into the field and growing them up quicker, because I don't need to preach about, all the things that are happening right now. And I'm not the one that's skilled enough to explain it anyways, but things are moving quickly. And I think that there is a greater need for us to. Oh my gosh.
How are you? So nice to see you. Everybody first. Such a beautiful place.
Yeah, thank you. Do you guys know each other? This is Souley.
Through online.
Yeah,
Online.
yeah. I think I met you in person either. No, because we haven't done anything in person until now. So
Nice
so
to meet
exciting.
you.
Nice to meet
Sorry, no, so the directory people. Okay, so we think that our sweet spot is new practitioners. So like people coming out of Reiki classes, right? Who, have this excitement that, oh my gosh, I have these skills. I understand the energy healing, and I want to start and grow, but struggling to, again, going through the like building social media presence, like finding people that you can work with, building a website. All those things are, unless it's just Karen and I that struggled with it, because we were like, oh, it took us a long time. But those are the things that we believe that we can help those new practitioners with, is kind of easing that burden for them to get started quickly. So if you are a person who's hosting classes, please reach out to us. We can physically get you some cards if that's the thing, or we could just give you the code that we're using if you are able to share that with the people that are coming on the program. Because again, our goal right now, again, everything's free while we're building, and our goal is to kind of get those people started. Just to kind of talk into the social network that I have too. It's an online space where it's outside of any of the big networks. Okay, so if you've ever taken a class, like an online class before, it's kind of the same structure of like a circle or one of those types of programs where you can host a class on here. But what I'm hijacking it for is to use it for community for us. So it is like a social network that's not attached to anything. It's no big network. It's just something that I paid to purchase so that we can build up a network of, in this case, local healers. We have some other folks that we found along the way who are not local, but are on there too, which, hopefully we'll be able to grow it anyway. But the point of that, we'll have private groups set up for the interest groups, so we could work there out of a central space. But then also, if you have an interest in, I set up one the other day for sound healing, for energy healing, for telepathy and ESP I put out there. Any type of topic like that where you want to go out and you can share videos, chat with people, kind of build up this network of all of us talking about these things. I think that this is something that I think that's what I wanted to find the whole time that I was out there trying to find my people. And it's, you're searching Instagram and it's like, oh my gosh, I relate to this person so much. But then, it's like they have 100,000 followers, and then, it's like you're interacting with them maybe like by commenting and things, but it's not really like a relationship, so that's where I feel that the online network, we can kind of go out there, especially again like the new practitioners that maybe want to help build their skills and go out there and like talk to other people. I think it's some people have successfully used Facebook groups, and I think that you have a successful Facebook group, but it's small and it's just people that have been through your program. But then you see some of these Facebook groups out there that are just like have gotten too big, and they're like advertising and lots of just goofy things. And it's hard. To me, it's hard to find your place online, but I think that there is a place for it. I know that, again, me who spends a lot of time in my house, like everybody's through now, I spent a lot of time in my house, like not really having an outlet. And this would have helped me finding my people online and having a place to go and share. And it has lots of capabilities. Those are the things that I foresee is, kind of, I said sharing amongst the different types of modalities and whatnot, but sky's the limit. Like we can go out there and do anything. So what we've been trying to do is on Wednesdays, we're hosting coffee talk. And we're just online. It's kind of like office hours. So we're online from 11:30 to 12:30 and 6:30 to 7:30 every Wednesday. So if you have any questions or need any help with navigating the site, or have a thought like, oh, what if we build it this way? Like, come
To be
out.
honest, it was one of my to-do lists. I need to finish.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Maybe I should show up for this coffee thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are able to, it's not something like we don't have the capabilities in these spaces to walk you through what an online system works or looks like, or walk you through the setting up a thing like a listing. But when we're, both sitting on our screens, like that is the benefit of being on like Google Meet or whatever, is being able to
share nowadays.
Yeah. Right.
And you were amazing because you hold my hand. So I get so busy. I think the idea is brilliant.
Thank you.
Absolutely brilliant.
But it's not, I don't think, and I think that's where we are, is that like not everything in the business world needs to be everybody's like superpower or skill set, right? Like not everybody needs to be skilled at building websites. Like not everybody needs to be skilled at social media content or is comfortable doing those things. And I said, I know where my struggles were. And it's like, I don't think that that's necessary to be a healer. Like that we've built just the nature of capitalism, the way things are, the way that we have to build is that, those are the expectations to get your name out there, but it just seems like these hurdles that aren't necessary. So we're just trying to take those hurdles away. I think, were we talking about, I had like this, like I wrote it down at some point. I don't know if I like completely like thought it out, but like to me, it seems like the early stages of like, I don't know, nursing to me. Like, could you imagine if like you had to advertise that you were, you know what I mean? Like like, let me explain to you what colds are and like flu and like all these things, like just on social media, and like had to advertise for my services. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like this to me is like, it just should be available and should be easy to navigate and easy to find people. So that's just kind of where what we're trying to do.
I will say Brooks Community Space is absolutely amazing because when you post something, you could post a video, a picture, an audio, a text, and then anybody can respond in any format. So they can respond by a video, whatever you're comfortable doing. So I love that there's more interaction and more ways to respond than just your typical text or whatever. So that was pretty
kind of
cool.
like, it's kind of like the best of all social media worlds, right? Like, it's not exactly like, Facebook's more text oriented, let's say. Instagram's all picture based, or TikTok's more of the video. It's like, if you kind of combined all that and whatever your favorite is, you can interact in the space in that way. And you are able to just like record quick things back and forth to each other. And there's also like chat rooms and stuff. Like, let's bring back chat rooms. Oh my gosh, like 90s chat rooms.
No, in Brazil we use WhatsApp.
Oh yeah.
And WhatsApp is from Facebook. So in Europe, South America, Central America, everybody use WhatsApp. And here they are starting music, but it's so modern, It's so Telegram, so if a person has a class, a master class, a problem, they have like a platform to teach the problem.
Oh wow.
But they don't use anymore the Facebook. They use the WhatsApp, they use the Telegram. It's like, it's very interesting. And it's from Facebook. It's American, right? So, one thing that I want to add also, like in terms of SEO, I'm an SEO girl.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Okay.
an SEO girl. Because I almost don't have clients locally, and I have all over the Europe, but all over the world. But one thing that I have to say, that whatever you guys are doing, the SEO is working. Because if somebody's looking for me and put my name in Google, your directory, your platform is going to show up at fourth. Say my website, my Instagram, whatever, it comes up. So of course, then I don't have much information there, which is something that I need to improve about myself, about procrastination. They're humans.
Oh, 100%.
It is something that I'm really, struggling with that. But, so your SEO, even my SEO guy said, you need to set up the thing. If I need to hire you. She was so amazing.
Cool. Yeah, because I know I hired somebody who like explained it all to me, but it's mutually beneficial because it's like, by your name being on our site and with all of the listings that you have as far as categories and keywords and things, that builds our search. Is that how I don't even know how to say it correctly, but anyway, like it builds up our SEO, and by you having your name on our site, then it adds to yours because you're like hitting somewhere else too.
No, it's just one more feature. It's one more. It's something that you can offer for the healers, for the artistic people. Say, hey, look, this is going to be also a less expensive way to show up in Google.
Yeah.
It's not just about, one more source, but it's a super extra source.
There you go. Right.
So.
It's really good.
It's
really
good.
good. That's awesome.
Right now, I have my YouTube, my Instagram, but I don't make money with Instagram. I make money with Google. So like my sources word of mouth and Google. It's not like that with you as well, right? Google is the founder. I don't think.
Well, and I think it's like age based too. So like I know that my daughter would never in a million years go to Google. She searches TikTok and she searches Instagram. And that's how she finds everything. So but it's like I don't have the skill set to understand how to search things on Instagram or TikTok, for example, so then I go to Google. So I think it's like depends on your age range as far as like what you're comfortable with doing. But
it's just like when she was helping me actually. When Taheera was helping me to set up everything,
like this was like maybe 48 hours later because I Google my phone number. Oh,
Yeah, they're just
they just
don't
hopped
have their faces.
it's so cool. No, it's just like, like it was like 24 or 48 hours, somebody Google my name, my phone number.
Oh, wow.
And then they
that
found
came up.
my name. They only had my phone number, and they found my name in the platform. So because of Google, so it's just like I think it's a wonderful way also to promote. If you're going to improve your SEO, your
We do have
search
to put
engine
that on.
search, and I don't know. I just think it's brilliant,
Yeah, thank you. That's a good way to.
especially because it's for I'm sure you guys know that, after working so many years as healers, we have that thing about being too modest to charge, right? Struggling financially speaking. It's a journey. And until we don't change or shift the limited beliefs, we struggle financially speaking. I've been there, and many people have. So I feel like, the platform that is like, it's a new earth. It's a fifth dimensional thing. And I'm serious, I know that maybe you feel like a little bit too small, too young, too baby, but I really think it's brilliant. And anything that I can do to help.
Thank you.
Have I
so much.
mentioned the groups? There's interest groups. So we will have interest groups that sorry. We are going to so I can't remember when you got in here, but we will have the interest groups. Are basically, if you look too on the chart on the back, is kind of where I was explaining. It's like how we see Healers United like organized is we have the directory side of things. And then we have the social network, which is just, like I said, these meetings and also the online aspect as well. Like if you're, interested in joining that. But then underneath that and kind of the base of like how we're going to build all of this is these projects that we have. And or interest groups is what we're calling them too. So they're just different types of projects, I don't know. Like, so the ones we're starting first with are an advertising and marketing group to kind of build up people who have that skill set or interested in it. Like I said, but like the last meeting, it's funny, like different meetings and like the different types of people that you have. So last meeting, there was like a big conversation about advertising and kind of what kind of groups we'd be targeting. And I just threw together the look of it, but it's, open to feedback. So that's what we're hoping with the groups is that people can provide feedback, or if you have like, we all had, prior lives doing something, so what in your prior life skill set did you have? Like, let's kind of bring those to the table. Advertising and marketing, and then the talk show. So talk show, we're discussing kind of like a podcast, but doing it more in person and having hosts discuss one particular topic with clients who could provide testimonials for the services that they've received.
This is the most difficult thing.
It's finding people to provide testimonials. Yeah, that's why we were thinking of doing it as a contest to try to build. If we can provide like a healing service for people who are willing to provide a testimonial of something to that effect. And then we have these are the four that we started with first is like a
so let me just
version.
understand about the marketing. When you say marketing, what does that?
So this is one of we were talking about cord cutting today, and this is like the first ad that we're talking about putting out to just kind of bring in seekers into healing as healing in general, right? So promoting healing by advertising things that, how do I want to say that? Like advertising in a way that's not like, hey, come get a spiritual healing, right? It's kind of trying to get people in through a different angle as far as like, oh, do you have like, a tie to somebody who, energetically you have a tie to somebody and like, cut the cord with this.
So, but the advertisement will be like among the
what we're thinking of, like we were talking again, we were just kind of bantering like last time, but that's what the goal of this group would be, is to have have a brainstorming session with people where we actually come to a conclusion at the end of it, and not just like our like toss them. Well, you do have to toss ideas out first, but the thing that we were talking about with this is going to bars and handing out like or putting stickers up or like handing out like little brochures. We had talked about as just another topic was doing something similar but for people who are going through a divorce. We had like some things written up, I can't remember, but like
break up before.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So like targeting places where there's people that are struggling, right? Yeah. Like you're out at the bars, like you probably have some relationship issues going on, if you're in the divorce lawyer's office, like, I've been there and that's like a low point, you might want to seek out some healing services there. So just trying to get advertising out to people who maybe wouldn't think through spiritual healing as the next step in that journey that they're on, by using ways of advertising that don't necessarily say, I said, like, come seek spiritual services. Because I think that what we do could sometimes just, and that's why I always call it the woo-woo, and like, it's a little too woo-woo, like, oh goodness, but it's not. Like, once you get down to what it is, I was saying, we shared a whole thing on cord cutting. Taheera presented, so the video is available, so you can watch that. But just I was able to cut those energetic ties through therapy and through lots of work and struggle. And I said, once I like understood this world, I'm like, do you mean that I could have just got some energetic cord cutting and like gotten rid of those connections in a far easier way than having to like process through them and work through them? So
it's important.
It is, and I
important, but it's
yeah.
not forever.
Well, and it's like I think that there's different ways that you can do it anyway. But
It's
yeah,
an add-on, right?
Yeah.
Like, one thing, because like, when we start working together, one thing complements.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
it's important because there are moments that just the emotions and the chords, it's very spiritual. It's a lineage, right? It's the genealogical, it's the ancestral energy, a lot of the DNA. But there are things that we also need to understand in our childhood. This year, self-love, I feel that I used to live in California, in this huge community there, light workers. And I remember one day I went to this workshop, and there was this amazing woman. She was like 8 years old, a light worker. And she looked at us, it was just like 5 of us, and she said, you know why there's only 5 people here? And it was a huge room for 100 chairs, She was very disappointed because she rented the place, and she was 8 years old, right? So she said, you know why people didn't show up? I'm talking about 15 years ago. We're much more evolved than that. Because they're built. And a lot of like workers, we don't love ourselves. We build the self-love. And you read it 15 years ago, right?
that was a hot topic.
And then you see like, a lot of life workers, like, I love my life workers from Brazil. Sometimes I attend their classes, they have. You can see there's no circulation on their face. They're not taking care of themselves. So self-love, this is huge.
And that's the thing, and those are the types of topics where it's like that is a hot topic now, and there are services that we can offer that tap into that, like, loving yourself first and those types of, so those are, I think that was actually part of what we wrote on the one for divorce, like, again, we just kind of threw out some ideas, but just learning to love yourself again, especially after coming through that, like, your
rejection and
so those are the types of ways that what I think through, and I'm trying to create this, is how could you have gotten me right, like Miss Skeptic, who was like, I'm not doing a spiritual stuff. Like I dabbled,
but I
dabbled, but like
because you try several things, and when you surround yourself, and I have done everything. What else I have here? This is the best. Is when we are exhausted, right? Then the shift happens.
oh yeah, and it's for sure. But I think that there's ways of kind of getting people into our world to start like oh wait, this makes sense to me, right? And like gateway, let's call it a gateway drug, like, you know, cord cutting is like that's an easy one, right? Like let's get people in with this like little gateway, and then let's have them, I don't know what the extreme is, but you know, like they're fully awakened like a couple years in. But I think that I know that there is the how do you say that? I do have a lot of people that say like, well, you have to be ready for it, right? And I do understand that aspect, but I think that there's ways, as I said, like kind of opening up this world to people without it being like you got to jump the whole way in.
Yeah,
You know what I
like
mean?
a homeopathic doses, right?
Yeah.
This is a homeopathic dose. And you know, people love when you say cut the cords, I'm in, right?
And I think that's a kind of play on
It's
like a lot of
very
things that
good
are like,
psychology,
yeah, like a lot of the terms that are kind of out there in the vernacular right now.
And I
like,
think
cut those
also
cords,
because
like,
it's
cut them
also
off.
it's like it's not I'm not responsible for my shit. If I cut the cords, it's my ex that is responsible, right? So it's a good introduction, but it's much different than that, right? Because we cut the cords, and what about what we did? Right? Yeah, we're not saints.
Oh, no, for sure. And that's, I mean, I'm assuming there is ways of, you know, like what, like once you kind of are bringing people in to do cord cutting, it's like, well, what, you know, what other needs do you have? Like, because most everybody that I've come across has different modalities that they use. So it's like you can take people from that step to, oh, you know, what you're like you were saying, you know, like what's your intention for this one? You know, okay, maybe you have some more cords to cut. And then we get to like, okay, yeah, maybe we can work on, okay, now you feel like you've cleared your energetic field of, you know, these past relationships or whatever. Like now let's start to work on you, or however the path works. But
it's brilliant. I think because it's very gentle. And this is marketing, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to know that they have to shift change.
Right.
But you don't
right.
sell that. Hey, do you want to change your bullshit? So no, they want to say like, you know,
oh, that's
give
a
me
good point.
the solution.
Yeah.
Give me the solution. I say I don't coach the problem. I coach the person. And then when the client says, Silvia, but every time that you go into the image, it's so difficult. Can we just keep the coaching? I said, we can keep the coaching your whole life and you just make more money on you, but you're not going to go deeper.
Yeah.
Right? We have to coach the person. The problem is just a symptom. Yeah? So this is how they say a hook.
Oh, yeah.
This is a hook.
Yep.
Yeah. And you could do several other things like that.
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to kind of
like spiritual hygiene. How to do a spiritual hygiene. This is also huge. And also another thing that people are, you are there, right? You guys were there. There was that. It was an event on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Reach.
the balance.
The mind, body. Did you go?
It was in Morrisville.
Yeah, it was in a gorgeous venue. It was empty.
Yeah.
I know that you don't make money there.
And I saw that kind of late, and that was because I said to you that one of the persons, because I like the way that they feature. And again, I want to reach out to him too, because I feel like bringing him into he did put on a good event. And
It was
an
amazing event.
And all the advertising.
It wasn't very busy.
The person's name was Hawkeye.
Mind,
It was-
body, and energy. Mind, body, and energy. It was a beautiful venue.
Balance.
It balanced something.
Yeah.
It was balanced something. The idea was brilliant.
Yes.
But then, and I think this is also, there's a huge space here for your work. Because those events, are so important for people who are not like that.
Yes.
And it's right now we're kind of just, I feel like, advertising to ourselves a lot, and it's like, yeah, you may pick up a new person here or there, somebody invite somebody in or whatever, but it's like a lot of just kind of to ourselves, just based on just all of it. I don't even know, because it's like, it takes money, it takes coordinated effort, it takes so much, and that's where we're trying to look at how can we build up the number of people that understand, or I don't know, just with the seekers, trying to reach out and come across in a way that makes sense to bring them into our world. Because I think that, and this is where, we talked about, because you still hear, we've gone to a bunch of different shops and you still hear like chatter about competition and people kind of being like, oh, like those people don't like me, or, we've not been welcomed into this world. And like, it's just
ego, not from your soul. It's not competition.
well, and that's what we try to say is like, if you are coming at this as like, as far as like we're competing against each other, then you're coming from like a lack, like, and
It's
we're
fear, man. Fear. I'm not enough, so I'm not enough, so I cannot offer as good service as my competitor because I'm not enough. This is so third dimension. Yeah.
but we're trying to
Well, we
So-
are the third dimension. Yes.
but we're trying to make it so that we're building up the numbers of people who are seeking services, so that there's not really, again, this need for that competition mindset. It's like, no, let's increase the amount of people who are coming into this world and seeking out these services. And I think it's a really good time, because I think it's like the more and more people that I see out there, it's just like, oh wait, there's another person that just had like an awakening, and like another person's on this path.
Sense, right? Like, for example, because in 1 year, this platform is going to be so much bigger that if there is another event like this one that we're trying to do, everybody will support each other. I did not want to go. I had other things to do, but I did. I paid because I want to support him.
Yeah.
I went to the lady that I had a terrible day with that lady for thing. She was darling, but it wasn't my thing. But I went to support them.
Yeah.
And then the same way that I did, you took your partner there. Other people there also to support. So as more people know about this kind of event, support more healers to rent the table, right? And it becomes like a beautiful community. Right. I miss that a lot because we had that in California and it was like that. We didn't even need to think. And I miss that here. I feel alone here. Yeah, exactly.
Bringing love unity. And those are the types of things where I think you see that there is like a need, and definitely. Again, maybe like a project team that's under this is events, and I did want to reach out to him because I feel like it was very, very well, like the advertising that he did, and I said the way that he featured everybody on his website was really good too. But it's just so hard. It's so hard because you're just throwing pebbles. I feel like you're throwing pebbles at a machine that's just really hard to break into.
What do you guys think that could be missing to not be like easier?
Easier to kind of bring people into
Not
like
just
numbers
people
or
to rent the tables, right?
right,
But also the public.
and that's why I think that's what we're trying to start doing, is trying to break down that wall of just it being something that's not for me. And the other thing we were talking about doing is like yoga, like there's places where it's like a good transition point, where like yoga, like everybody.
Qigong.
The energy healing place or energy workplaces, those types of places, like advertising in there where it's like people are they're in the door of like, this is their first step.
Musicians, because it's a very spiritual art.
The girl that so there was a girl that was at our last meeting, Ray Shine. So she does work out of Interdistance, I think, but so she's a Reiki practitioner. She's also a musician. And she, it was, we were talking about doing stuff at a like a concert venue, like advertising and like little something handouts or something at a concert venue. And then like she didn't mention that she was a musician, and I found her. I was like, wait a second, like you probably know a lot about this. So and I think there are ways of like bringing people in, because I think that they had to. Did they have music at that event? Because I thought that was advertised.
We had. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Two musicians. They were fabulous. I was like, I want to stay here just for the music. It's beautiful.
And I think that too, if I remember correctly, that Sarah, you remember you hooked us up with Sarah. And we met with her a little while ago, and she was talking about, where did I lost my track of thought? But that's because I think that when she had met, because she was trying to do something similar to what we were doing, and she was like interviewing people, one of the things that she said that she got a lot of feedback on was the need for events and people wanting to put on events. So I think that, yeah, there's people out there, and that's the thing, is like, let's kind of all work on this together, right? Because, you know, he's out there putting this event on, but like, if he could utilize the advertising, you know, that we have and whatnot, you know, just let's kind of all work
If
together
all of
to
the
build it.
healers posted on their social media
Exactly.
page his event, then I
Yeah.
think it might have attracted more
A little bit
people.
more, yeah.
Yeah.
Another
I
thing that
agree
I'm
with-
thinking here, sorry to interrupt you, but you know, UNC and Duke, they have that mindfulness
Mhm.
department, and I've studied with them, and they're very open.
So that was, okay, let me take this a couple steps back. So I did one of the meetings at Rhine, the Rhine Research Center. So I attended one of those, and there's the manager of the Rhine, business manager of some sort, or office manager. She hosts a Reiki research group.
Oh,
So she went through the integrative health program at Duke, and she does Reiki, and then she hosts a group that I think once a month, like, pulls research studies and reviews them and kind of talks through that. And she doesn't know yet, but I think that she's another person I'd like to pull in and have more people participate in that. I mean, she already has it established, but it's again a thing. It's like, okay, she has a couple of people, but let's build that up so that more people can participate in that. Research is like that's my baby. Like, my entire career has been in research, and I really think that there is a need to bring more scientific research studies into this world, which is like anyway, I could go on for hours about that, so I'll just stop. That's eventual, but yeah, so I think that there's lots of ways to bring that in, because Reiki especially too, if we talk about ways where there's those points where it's like that transition, I think that Reiki is that entry into
it's another book.
Yeah.
because it's mainstream now. It's in hospitals. It's like, but it's like it's not the whole way through the hospital. You know, it's like featured in like cancer centers and things. And you're like, all right, come on. But so I think that that's another way that we can, kind of,
Build that.
focus on that area and like where that transition is.
Amazing.
So
So coming back here, so how can we help you more, like support you, and create like a sacred space for you?
Well, participating in the meetings. So appreciate everybody that came tonight. And you've already joined the directory. Going out and joining the directory is helpful. Or if, advertising it to the people that, again, come through your classes or whatever, if you're teaching. And also, if you are able to and willing to, participating in one of the groups, or come up with your own group. If it's something that you're like, this is a passion of mine, it's again social media or whatever else, research. Come up with your own group, and it's again, I don't feel like we want to own all of this. It's like we wanted to come up with like kind of the framework for it to build and grow, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever ideas you have, bring them. Like, it's just like the more energy and the more like kind of discussions and things that we have, and like kind of feeding off of each other like this, like, oh, we went to this event, and oh, we could probably grow that. Like, okay, let's come up with an events group, right?
It's a wonderful source for the public and people that are
Yeah.
curious. Because I do like our field thing, because I love that lady from Wilmington, I don't remember her name. So next state was Diane.
Oh yeah, it's
Diane.
Yeah.
And she was helping a gentleman that was just show up out of the blue. And when I was leaving, the gentleman was about to survive. After we had a session with Diane, and I know that he had some, disability, and he started crying to his wife, and I said, "Why they don't have those kind of things more often?" I cried,
Yeah.
because he didn't see me, that he doesn't know that I heard you, But I said, so much.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
was like a 20-minute session.
Of course, I am this miracle worker.
But you understand,
Oh,
like, you know, imagine if that thing was full, a lot of people, like, you know,
Yeah.
I like that event that we have here twice a year, but
But
it's
it's-
another vibe.
Yeah,
Well,
we
then
can do
I-
better, I think.
Yeah, well, and again, I think that events committee would be good at kind of going through this because I had a lot of feedback. I didn't even present you know, I wasn't at a table there, but I think that just even feedback from being there, you know, there's a lot of things that I would do different if it was somebody fixing that.
Your
and
jacket
post, you know,
is exhausting.
Oh,
I go
that
there
too,
because I
yeah.
love to buy my bracelets there.
Sometimes I go at the end of the show, you know, to.
Because I got tired going, you know.
Oh, it is a lot. It's a lot of like, and I don't, I'm not gonna block in my energy right now. So
Yeah,
like, it's a lot of,
And you know
I
what?
had to decompress a lot at the end of that day because like you just absorb so much and it's, yeah. Crazy,
So,
crazy.
yeah, so I don't know, maybe there are more events coming up.
And I think too, yeah, it's like, I've seen a few, like there was I know, I'll bumble it, but there is like one that was like LOE, the group out of like Clayton maybe?
Light of the land.
Is that it? Okay, yeah, I saw that they had an event last weekend maybe, or, so there's
Saturday.
yeah, there's like ones that I'm seeing pop up.
What's that?
No, there was
Maybe
another, there was,
Is it different?
that one, I think, well, there was, one was on Saturday, one was on Sunday.
No,
Or no,
but
there were
what-
two on Sunday.
No, what I'm
Yeah,
saying that
anyway.
maybe this was the reason that Rick's event was so late.
No, because it was, well, there were two events on Sunday, because one of them was at Haven Farm too. But,
Oh,
yeah, but still, it's again, like, coordinating across the area would be a better idea, I think, than all these kind of like one-off things.
absolutely, absolutely.
So we'll try to, if anybody has contact of like, you know, with those people,
Yes,
then
And,
like,
you know, and
bring 'em
I
in,
have known
invite
that
'em
since
over.
November that this event was going to happen,
wow.
definitely.
Yeah.
You know, definitely, because I just, when I saw that James, you know, crying to his wife, I said,
I have one. Do you hear?
The water?
Yeah, it must be raining.
Yeah,
It is right here. It is.
yeah, it is raining a lot.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
And I
interrupt.
forgot
Darcy.
to ask him.
I hear water.
And I love the butterfly. Absolutely love this butterfly.
All right, I think I'm gonna finish up on at least this bumbly recording, but like,
Okay.
we can stop that and then, just chit chat, but yeah.
Sorry, I just got sidetracked. I was like, oh crap.
No, you're fine. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of